It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops. Goulet!
Next season, things are going to look a little different in Toronto Raptor land. You're listening to Full Court Press with myself, Justin Raindrops Goulet, and I'm joined via Skype with the one and only Nard Dogg, David Bernardi. What is up, good sir?
Oh, a lot's up. I'm just having a time. How about yourself, Goulet?
I'm doing very well, thank you. There's a lot that we have to talk about, especially in Toronto Raptor land, because they've made quite a few moves since free agency started on July 1st. The last time we talked, Amir Johnson was still a proud member of the Toronto Raptors, but unfortunately he's moved on to greener pastures, quite literally because he's joined the Boston Celtics. What are your thoughts about Amir leaving Toronto? I know he's a huge fan favorite. I'm a big fan of his. Wish him all the best, but what are you thinking about Amir Johnson in Boston?
Oh, he's an absolute beauty, but the guy got $24 million for 2 years, and that's just something the Raptors can pay. So you just gotta say your goodbyes.
Yeah, you gotta shake hands and move on. Unfortunately, that's the way that business works. But one thing that's a little bit different about Amir Johnson going to Boston, it's a move that's come more recently even. David Lee making his way to the Celtics. They're going to have to be competing for that power forward position. Do you think they're going to have Lee at center, or what do you think the plan is there?
I'm not sure. They can start Amir Johnson at center. He did play center with the Raptors. And they can have David Lee starting or Jared Sullinger, who's also a good enough player. I don't know. They got a solid front court, but they have a lot of point guards and guards on that team. They're going to challenge the Raptors for that Atlantic Division title for sure.
You think that the Celtics are the biggest challenge to the Raptors? Because Toronto's still the top dogs in the Atlantic Division.
Oh, without a doubt. But the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know. They signed our boy Andre Bargnani.
Well, that's a game changer for sure. That brings you to the top tier level of NBA play, signing Ilmago.
Yeah. Bringing his primo pasta and sauce to Brooklyn.
And his phenomenal perimeter defense.
Yeah, the Nets, they haven't really done much. They re-signed Brook Lopez and Thaddeus Young. And they traded Darren Williams, to the Mavericks. Oh, they didn't trade him. They waived him.
Ooh, that hurts. That hurts just a little bit more than getting traded. How do you think Darren...
Talk about a disappointing player.
Yeah, he had so much potential, and he did so well in Utah, but...
That's a curse. He talked bad about Jerry Sloan in Utah. He gets traded to New Jersey, Brooklyn, and the downfall started there.
Yeah, that's where it all began.
And there's talks he wasn't getting along with Lionel Hollins in Brooklyn. And yeah, there you go. I hope the best with him in Dallas.
Oh, same. All the best to Darren Williams. I'll be honest, I was never the biggest fan of his.
And in the Atlantic Division, we also got the Knicks. They signed Robin Lopez, Derek Williams. That's the guy I was thinking of before. And a follow. They aren't bad signings, but...
They're decent signings, but I don't think that the Knicks are going to get things figured out anytime soon. That's just my opinion, but...
And they made that surprising pick, the 4th pick in the draft, with that Latvian guy.
Well, you never know what could happen with him. Might pull things off, might surprise us.
And there was also talk today of Phil Jackson. He didn't want to sign Marc Gasol. He didn't think he was worth the money.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah, Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is just going to do fine staying in Memphis.
Phil Jackson was an awesome coach, but he's a really bad manager. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't. Yeah, I totally agree with you. The Zen Master.
They should honestly, if I was a Knicks, I would trade Carmelo Anthony for draft picks.
Yeah.
Just start over.
Start from scratch, rebuild.
That team is just going nowhere.
Yeah, tear it down and build it back up.
That covers the Knicks. We talked about the Nets. But yeah, Boston, they're pretty good. They got Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas had a great season last year. Played really, really well.
Yeah, he was the runners-up for six man. We all know who got that.
Of course, Lou Williams. And talking about Lou, he's off to Hollywood,
La
playing
La
with the
Land.
Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, that'll be really fun to watch. Him, Nick Young, and Kobe Bryant. I hope they play together, all three.
Oh, that would be awesome. And
It would
Kobe,
be quite
because
the Chuck Fest.
what's that?
It would be quite the Chuck Fest. No one's gonna pass.
Oh, totally. And with Kobe moving off to small forward, taking over the 3 position.
There was actually talk of him. Byron Scott may play him at power forward.
That won't surprise me.
Some strange happenings in the NBA.
Oh, there definitely is.
A lot of teams are going small ball. Like, for instance, the Raptors signing DeMar Carroll. And there's talk of Casey playing him at the 4.
Well, he can play
Yes.
it. He can play the 3 and the 4. Damari Carroll. I think that was a really good pickup, especially. That was an interesting day for me. We found that out on Canada Day. All this happened. I found out that Amir Johnson had left the Raptors, so that was a bummer. But then my mood was brightened just a little bit when I saw your Facebook posting. You said, well, the Raptors have found their small forward, and I just hovered over the picture really quick and then scrolled back up and saw that it was DeMar Carroll and instantly jumped for joy because I think he's an awesome player and I think he could play. He has a very good defensive game. He could shoot the ball.
He's a scary-looking dude. I would not want to face this guy.
No,
Not saying he's ugly. He just looks very ferocious.
he's got the Manimal Kenneth Faried look going for him with the.
He does call him the Junkyard Dog 2.0.
I was just about to bring that up when he posted that on Instagram and Twitter that he wants to be called the Junkyard Dog 2.0. I was like, all right, you know what? I liked you before, but I like you even more now because Jerome Williams. I've got a poster of the Junkyard Dog in my bedroom. I love the Junkyard Dog. So if DeMar Carroll brings that power and that enthusiasm, that energy to be Junkyard Dog 2.0, totally satisfied with that.
Oh, he's going to be a fan favorite for sure.
Oh, yeah. Especially this past season in Atlanta. He was able to get some of the best experience playing for the Hawks this past season. Especially this past season.
A lot of people are saying he's overpaid. He's getting paid $60 million for 4 years. So that's $50 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. A lot of players getting overpaid. You see Reggie Jackson. He got paid $70 million.
$70 million.
Dear Lord.
See, I'd say DeMar Carroll's worth a little bit more than Reggie Jackson.
And Danilo Gallinari just got signed for $34 million for 2 years.
For 2 years? Wow. He's not that good.
Yeah.
Wild happenings in the NBA.
There's Summer League, and do you know who showed up? Norman Powell.
Norman Powell, Mr. Toronto Raptor himself. I love it. Well, he was.
He's going to be the steal of the second round.
Oh, totally. I agree with you. And you've been praising the guy for quite some time now. You've been telling me about his skills. I didn't know much about Norman Powell, but he's been so impressive. He was awesome in the Summer League.
Yeah, I was not expecting his scoring that he put up there. And I'm not going to say the Summer League is the greatest competition, but he certainly stood out.
Oh, that's for sure. He definitely made his mark.
He was on the All-Summer League team, the Las Vegas Summer League.
Mm-hmm.
The Raptors, they actually they went into the knockout stage as the first place team in that Summer League.
Yeah.
And they lost to the Bulls. Sucked.
Unfortunately. Now talk about speaking of the Summer League, what do you think about Becky Hammon?
Oh, I'm loving her.
I know. I think once I'm hearing there's rumors that once Popovich steps down, that she could take over for the Spurs. How cool would that be?
I would love to have Becky Hammon.
She's got the knowledge, the experience, the skill.
She's got the looks.
Oh, of course. Well, you know.
That's another story.
That's an added bonus, but she knows her basketball.
Yeah, she does. Like, the thing is, I've been following her WNBA career. I don't really watch WNBA, but she's always stood out. She's been an all-star all these years. But yeah, she led her San Antonio team to the championship.
That she did. So kudos to her, and I think she's got a really bright future, and I could see her being the head coach of the Spurs one of these days.
Or the Raptors.
Or the Raptors. Well, there you go.
Hey,
Spurs
hey,
and Raptors.
How about Toronto gets us a WNBA team?
Well,
Let's
we've
never-
already Toronto's already got a D League team. Now they do officially, so why not? It's not totally out of the question.
And you see how good Canada did for women's basketball in the Pan Am Games. They won it all.
Yeah, they
beat
won gold.
the US.
Unfortunately, the men's team lost out in the final against Brazil,
Right.
86-71. But that was their best performance in the Pan Am Games, so
But my God, Jamal Murray,
unbelievable.
he delivered.
He totally delivered.
As did Andrew Nicholson.
Of course, our buddy Andrew Nicholson. Remember when we interviewed Andrew Nicholson? That was in the wee beginnings of Full Court Press.
Yep, good man.
Episode 13. Go back, mixcloud.com, listen to it. Plugs, go for it, do it. No, seriously, Andrew Nicholson, he was an awesome guy to talk to. He was really nice, and he put on really good performance at the Pan Am Games.
As did Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett's looking good these days.
But Jamal Murray, I'd say right now, he's a top 10 pick in the draft next year. He's going to be playing for Kentucky. And Kentucky fans were going insane after that game against the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
They're loving the guy.
Totally. He's going to land in the top 10 for sure. It'd be a big surprise if he didn't.
Back to the Raptors. They got rid of Tyler Hansbrough, but they replaced him with Bismack Biyombo.
Oh, that's true. Like I was saying, the Raptors have made quite a few moves. There's so many that I'm almost losing track of them. Yeah, we've got Bismack Biyombo.
You know, that was technically a trade because Tyler Hansbrough signed with the Charlotte Hornets.
So kind of, yeah, basically. Bismack Biyombo's got the toughness, the athleticism. He's almost what's that?
He's a great defender.
He's almost a quicker Tyler Hansbrough.
And I don't think Charlotte gave him that much of a chance. So we'll see what he does in Toronto. He'll get more minutes.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get his chance to prove himself, his chance to shine.
A pretty good bargain for 2 years, $6 million.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. That is a bargain deal for sure. Now, Canada basketball, the Raptors and everything, I see that look in your eyes right now. You want to talk about Corey Joseph, don't you?
Oh, yes, I do.
The real big story here is Corey Joseph joining up with the Toronto Raptors. He's an NBA champion. His dad, DJ, David Joseph, is the former coach of the Mississauga Power, who are now the Raptors 905. And even the biggest point out of this all is that Corey Joseph grew up in Toronto. He's a Canadian. He's the second ever Canadian to play for the Raptors.
He's coming home and he's running through the six finally.
I love it. I'm so excited to see him play. He's an awesome defender. He could shoot the ball. He has a really good all-around game, and he learned under Greg Popovich the past few years.
Yep, he's got a championship ring. What else can you ask for?
Exactly. I think the Raptors did really well this offseason.
Yeah, if he's going to be he's going to be a way better player than Vasquez ever was.
I agree with that. I like Gravis Vasquez. I know I like Gravis a little bit more than you like Gravis Vasquez, but Corey Joseph is a much better choice than Gravis Vasquez to have on your roster, at least these days, in my opinion.
It's funny because Joseph's going to be wearing the number 6. And that's proper.
Yeah, that's proper. Drake would be proud.
6.
The 6.
A Drake shout out.
Awesome.
Funny thing is, that song's about Lou Williams.
Yeah, so connections. Everything's rounded together.
And Drake's already dropped a line of Corey Joseph in his latest track.
Yeah, and Corey Joseph hasn't even played a game for the Raptors yet. How sweet is that?
Yeah, Lou Williams must be upset.
Well, Lou was actually, from what I read, Lou was quite upset that the Raptors didn't fight for him. And that surprised me too.
They didn't even contact him.
That surprised me too. I know Lou didn't necessarily show up in the playoffs, but he was the 6th man of the year. He got the crowd going. I know he could be a little bit of a ball hog, But he was doing really well in Toronto. I thought he was a good fit for the Raptors. I'm surprised that they didn't put up at least some kind of fight for him.
He was phenomenal the first couple months or so of the season, but then I don't know, it just got old.
Well, that was
Something went off.
with a lot of the players on the roster. And that really came out, unfortunately, in the playoffs when they were swept by the Wizards.
You can't really blame him for having the ball in his hands at the end of every quarter. That's kind of on Casey.
Exactly. If he's going to be
But-
drawing up those plays.
But the thing is, they didn't really play team ball like they did the season before.
Mm-hmm.
And that may have been the problem. Like, we saw how Atlanta Hawks played without Lou Williams this year. They won a franchise record of wins. So
That's another big reason I'm happy that they're bringing in DeMarre Carroll, because maybe there was that loss of working as a team. DeMarre Carroll's a guy from the Atlanta Hawks, so
yeah, he's a big part of that team. The Raptors also signed Luis Scola.
how come I keep on forgetting about that? I always forget that it happens, and then I freak out again. Yes, we got Luis Scola. Luis Scola, Bismack Biyombo, DeMarre Carroll, and of course Corey Joseph.
And Scola, he's actually an awesome signing. For 1 year, only $3 million, and he's basically Amir Johnson's replacement.
He could still play the game. I think he's 34 years old. He's got over 10 years in the NBA.
And he's barely missed any games in his NBA career. So
Always been a solid player, no matter what team he's played for.
I loved Amir, but he was playing on one leg.
He was, unfortunately. I hope Amir does really well in Boston, though. I've always been a fan of Amir Johnson, and I know you and Amir are good buddies. So
The best of friends.
yeah, the best of friends, of course, having the best of times.
And there's no doubt he's going to get a standing ovation when he comes back.
Oh, for sure.
See,
If I'm back in town around that time, if it's say around Christmas time, when I come to visit for Christmas, and if the Raptors are playing the Celtics, we're going to that game. I don't even care.
indeed.
Wear your Vince Carter jersey and then put some tape on the back and write Johnson. So many people did that at Raptors games.
How about we switch it over to the other happenings in the NBA?
Yeah, what else is going on? Tell us.
Well, Greg Monroe signing with Milwaukee. He spurned the Knicks. Like, everyone thought he was going to sign with the Knicks. He would have been a great fit, but he surprised everyone and joined the Milwaukee Bucks.
How do you think he's going to fit into that rotation?
Oh, I could see. Honestly, I could see the Bucks being really good next season.
Get to surprise some people, because they had a pretty decent year this past campaign. So
Think about it. They're going to have a more improved Giannis Antetokounmpo
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
and Jabari Parker, who was playing great before he tore his ACL.
So they'll have a healthy Jabari Parker. So we'll see. Hopefully Hopefully that didn't screw up his playing too much.
They re-signed Chris Middleton, who's a solid player, and they got Michael Carter Williams, who's kind of disappointed me. He could play better, but
Fair enough.
and they also got Grievous Vasquez. We'll see how he does. Apparently, Jason Kidd really loves the guy. But the biggest story out of the NBA offseason so far is the DeAndre Jordan Hollywood saga.
Oh, of course. Well, there's that. And just before we talk about DeAndre Jordan, how have we not mentioned this? LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest. I'd argue against DeAndre Jordan and say that LaMarcus Aldridge is the biggest signing. Going to the Spurs, going to be playing with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Ginobili and Kawhi Leonard, coached by Greg Popovich. What?
That team is just stacked.
They're basically the Heat just a few years ago when Chris Bosh and LeBron signed with Miami.
We didn't even mention David West.
Oh, that happened too.
And the thing about David West is he turned down, I think it was $10 or $11 million to re-sign with the Pacers just to sign with the Spurs for 1.5. So that dude really wants a championship.
Yep. I think the Spurs are going to be a top contender for the NBA championship.
Oh, I'd say right now they're coming out of the West.
Oh, I don't think anybody in the Western Conference. I think they've even got Golden State beat. David Lee's gone from Golden State, but he did not play a huge factor in their championship run.
It would be nice if Golden State repeated, but that just doesn't happen in pro sports anymore. It's really tough to do.
Oh, yeah, and I think, honestly, this year was the year of the Golden State Warriors. Andre Iguodala won MVP, but I think going into next season, everybody's looking at a new team to win it all. I don't think it's going to be the Golden State Warriors' time to shine or anything like that. I think they got their moment. They were the darlings of the NBA last year. They killed it. They were awesome, setting records. Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry were unreal. But I love the Golden State Warriors, but I think it's going to be somebody else next season. But we could be wrong.
There's plenty of choices in the West to win it
Oh,
all.
of course.
And then you have the Cavs. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what could happen.
Now back to DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, DeAndre Jordan's Hollywood saga.
That was pretty hilarious. How basically Chandler Parsons recruited both Wesley Matthews and DeAndre Jordan to sign with the Mavericks.
Yeah.
And then basically they both verbally agreed. But the night before, it became... Okay, so you can verbally sign with the team on July 1st, but it doesn't become official until the July 9th.
Yeah.
So on the 8th, basically, Doc Rivers, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin went to DeAndre Jordan's house, and they locked every single person out. They took away his phone, and they basically held DeAndre Jordan hostage.
Yeah, that actually happened. Like, that is a thing that happened.
It's very strange, but it's also hilarious at the same time.
That's the perfect way to describe it.
Just to think what was going through Mark Cuban's head when this was happening.
Especially with the Clippers, and the past couple of years have been rough with Donald Sterling and all that stuff going on.
They're a dramatic franchise, aren't they?
Well, they are in Los Angeles, so a few years ago, like a decade ago, it was the Lakers taking up that dramatic spot, Kobe versus Shaq, and that was more than a decade ago. Wow.
And there was even pictures of Blake Griffin tweeting out, like, what was it, a chair?
It was a chair in front of the door, blocking the doorknob.
Like, that was ridiculous.
It was fantastic. It's, like you said, it was so weird and yet so hilarious.
And you can't even, the Clippers, they're a really good contender now because obviously they got Jordan back. They signed Paul Pierce. He's finally coming home to Los Angeles.
You think he'll end his career there? Under Doc Rivers?
He's pretty much said he is. He signed that 2 or 3 year contract, and that's gonna be it.
That makes sense. I like Paul Pierce, even with all, like we've discussed this, even with all the trash talking against the Raptors. He backs it up. He's a good player.
Hey, maybe the Raptors can make the NBA Finals now that Pierce is in the Western Conference.
Oh, you know what? That could very well happen.
Yeah, because he's the only dude that was blocking the Raptors from going in the second round.
He really was. Brooklyn Nets, Washington Wizards. Paul
and
Pierce.
How he's something else.
He is. He's not from this planet, Paul Pierce. He's the truth.
Speaking of small forwards, there were reports today of the newly acquired Charlotte Hornets player, Nicholas Batum, being very interested in signing with the Raptors next offseason.
I heard about that. And I saw that you posted it and you said, hey, here's our backup plan if the Raptors can't get Kevin Durant in 2016.
He had quite the off year this season with Portland, but I think maybe a change of scenery is probably best for him. So we'll see what happens with the Hornets this season. And then, like I said, if that whole Durant to Toronto thing doesn't work out, then Raptors have a backup line.
Perfect.
Batum really likes the multiculturalism in Toronto.
Well, he is a Frenchman, so I think it would fit right into Toronto.
Yeah. It's a big selling point for a lot of international players. comes to the NBA.
As you've
Toronto.
seen Toronto Raptors' track record, there's been a lot of international players that have played for Toronto.
Oh, I'm looking at you, Colangelo.
Well, before we wrap things up, Nard Dogg, what else has happened in the world of NBA free agency? Ty Lawson's on the move, Monte Ellis.
The Pacers finally had enough with Roy Hibbert, and they shipped him off to Los Angeles for only a second-round pick.
That must hurt. That must sting, Roy Hibbert.
To think a couple seasons ago he was an all-star. That's just shocking. Even the Raptors got a first-round pick and a second-round pick for Vasquez. That tells you something. But the Pacers also got Monte Ellis.
I really like Monte Ellis.
Yeah, he's a really good scorer.
He is. That's for sure.
So the Pacers, they're going to be up there in the Eastern Conference, most likely the playoffs. Likely.
You'd think so. Get them back into the postseason.
Tyson Chandler went to the Phoenix Suns, which is, I don't know, it's good for their front court, but I still don't see him as a playoff team.
No.
They still got a ways to go.
Yeah, they're still a young team. They'll eventually get there.
Rajon Rondo signs with the Kings.
Yep, that happened.
How about the Kings though? They're a crazy team. They're going to be fun to watch just because it's going to be a circus next season. We know about the feud with George Karl and Cousins, which has been going on. Apparently, Karl just doesn't like the way Cousins plays. I don't know. They're going to be a weird team. They also signed Bellinelli. And the funny thing is, Wesley Matthews signed for less with the Dallas Mavericks because he didn't want to play for the Kings.
Well, it's almost like David West's situation where he wants to play with the Spurs, so he's going to take less money to play where he wants to play.
Even Bargnani turned down a couple million from the Kings to play with the Nets.
Well, that's, like you've said, that's just because he wants to stay in the Atlantic Division. I guess he just likes that division so much.
And
next up, Philadelphia.
I forgot to mention that Josh Smith signed with the Clippers, so I don't know, the Clippers could be really good next season.
Oh, they'll make the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs again.
But could they make the conference finals? That's been their problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. Will Chris Paul ever get to that upper echelon in the postseason?
And the team I'm worrying about is Houston. They just got a really good point guard in Ty Lawson. Yes, he has some problems off the court, but he could be really well. Like maybe he'll change his tune, become an all-star.
You never know what could happen.
The guy averaged basically 15 and 10 last year.
Yeah, it's great stats. Double-double, essentially.
And speaking of the Kings, how about them signing Stephen Curry's brother,
Seth Curry.
To a 2-year contract?
Well, it's good for him. I don't know if he's going to jump up to the level of his brother's play because Stephen Curry is unbelievable.
And I don't think it was a good situation to go to that circus in Sacramento. Yeah. I actually think a team that would fit him well would probably be the Sixers because they're playing for nothing these days.
They're basically just a farm team these days.
They got our boy Stauskas though.
That's true.
I'm kind of happy that they got traded to Sixers.
Yeah, he's away from the circus in Sacramento.
Indeed.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see Nick Stauskas in the city of brotherly love, Mississauga's own in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Awesome.
And the worst player in the NBA signed with the Pelicans, and his name is Kendrick Perkins. I just don't understand what he's going to do in New Orleans. Is he going to... He can't mentor Anthony Davis or anything. Oh.
Just shaking your head at that one.
I've never been a fan of the dude. He's just the big pylon.
He rubs you the wrong way.
Yes, he does. Think about all the crazy, all the signings that happened this offseason. Can't wait for next offseason when it's Kevin Durant time. There's going to be plenty of teams bidding for that guy.
Oh, yeah, you think LaMarcus Aldridge, that was a circus. Next season's going to be even crazier. Next offseason.
I don't see Durant staying with the Thunder unless they miraculously win the championship this season.
I don't think it's going to happen. Or if they go back to Seattle.
Seattle?
Bring back the Supersonics. Well, I think time's almost up for us, Nard Dogg. We've basically covered everything we wanted to talk about. Free agent frenzy, always a fun time of the year.
Have we really covered it all?
I don't know. Have we? Is there anything else that you want to touch base on? Anything you want to talk about? Throw out there?
Well, there's still reports that Terrence Ross continues to play NBA 2K15 24/7.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Instead of practicing on his game, like his lifestyle, his career of basketball.
Terrence Ross updates are always nice.
Yeah, and if he wants to make some money after next season in the basketball world, he's got to shapen up.
Well, who knows, Nard Dogg? Maybe he's planning to become a professional video gamer. I don't know.
You never know. That could be a great career for him.
He does like to sit down and play video games, so...
You're onto something, Goulet.
Thanks, Bernardi. And on that note, that wraps things up for Full Court Press. We shall be back at another time. Nard Dogg, any final words, plugs, tweets, Instagrams, Facebook, Snapchat, Vine, anything you want to throw out there?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at DavidBernardi7, the number 7.
Excellent. And Instagram, is that the same name as well?
It basically is, but I have a couple underscores between David and Bernardi.
Okay, perfect. So at David
see all my rambling on about sports.
Check him out. Check Bernardi out on the social medias.
It's absolute great stuff.
He's always a barrel of laughs.
Just always dishing it out.
And having a time.
Having a good old time.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JustinGoulet21. We shall be back to chat more and more about basketball. Keep the basketball movement alive and strong. Kudos to Team Canada, the women's team at the Pan Am Games for picking up gold, and the men's team for picking up silver.
Canada basketball is coming on strong.
Yeah, the furthest that the men's team ever made it in the Pan Am Games. So they can definitely hold their heads up high.
Next month we got the qualifying for the Olympics.
Here we come, Olympics.
So we'll see some Wiggins, some Thompson, some Olenek. A real star-studded team on Canada.
The present's already bright for Team Canada, but the future is even brighter. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet.
And I'm David, the Nard Dogg Bernardi.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops Goulet.